Sorry, guys, I was on the phone. I couldn't get off of the phone. I don't know what I want to do first. Not that, that's for sure. All right, sorry, guys, I was on the phone. I couldn't get off of the phone. Hold on a second. That's that's me recording I'm recording on YouTube so that if anybody can't make it tonight, they can have a recording of it. So thanks for coming. I kind of expect a couple other folks to be here. Artem usually comes. He may join us in a minute. Hey, Vadim, if not, we can probably remove that sign with like, I don't know, some Photoshop or something too, if you don't have another one. But I didn't get any other pictures through my email.
Yeah, so I just sent you because it comes from my personal email. It says lot 29, Karen Lane.
Okay, I didn't get it. You
That's
just
weird.
did you put the E on the end of my name?
Susan Barnett.
BARNETTE.
Yeah. Well, because it pops up.
I just got it. I just got it. I just got one at 526.
And I sent you an updated one. So
okay.
If you just want to use one photo, we can use one photo. I sent you a good one.
Okay.
I just emailed you another one. If not, you can use the other ones. It's just the grass isn't. I'll give you another one. Sorry, they just coming in at random times. From my brother.
Let's see. That's all right.
But I'm sending them all to you right now. So the two that I'm gonna send you in separate emails, and I apologize for that. They're both good where the grass is cut.
Did you go up there today and mow the grass after I talked to you?
No, we mowed it after we bought it. It just looks. These pictures.
Have I told you how much you remind me of my grandson?
Yeah.
To show you a picture, I can't even hardly look at you without thinking of him. Alan, what are you doing over there, being awful quiet and stuff?
Just highlighting some of the stuff on the sheets you had me print out.
Okay, all right.
Did you get the money order that I sent you?
Yeah, I put that in the mail. That's gone. So
okay,
that should be good. We just got to get you a Google number. And I showed my husband and he's like, I have no idea why it's not, sending him a code. So yeah. I don't know what's going on with that. We got to figure that out.
We may have to sit down together and do that.
Yeah, but we're holding your cards and your name riders until we get that. So you'll have your 423 area code on it.
Right.
Okay, Artem will be here, but he's going to be a few minutes late.
Okay. Yeah, I sent you the two updated ones. They look a lot better than the previous ones I took. So.
Okay. All right. So you've been really lucky so far, Vadim. You've had a little bit more training on this stuff, even though it's not really been a whole lot of training on listings as everybody else. But I'm going to share the screen here and I'm going to show you guys some things. I sent some things over. Alan, you don't have a note. Do you have a notebook yet, Alan?
Not really, no.
A white or a yellow one. Okay, we'll get you one of those. Hunter can get them at the office too if you go there and I'm not there. I hate to say this, but I went to the doctor this afternoon for what was supposed to be about an hour and a half, ended up being about 3 hours, and I got to go back at 8 in the morning. So I might be doing the whole sales meeting by Zoom tomorrow. I don't know what time I will get out of the doctor. Like I said, today it was supposed to be an hour and a half, and it wasn't. So I had some issues come up there, but we'll try to get that done. So listing property step by step. I have to be honest, I need to go look at my email and see what I sent you guys, if I added that to your listing property. Yes, I did. Okay, so I sent that. So I put that together today and I did it rather hurriedly, but I've looked over and it looks like it's pretty well got all the process in there as far as it doesn't tell you how to do a CMA and all that stuff. That's a class all by itself, which we might do next Monday night. But just in case, I wanted to go ahead and go over the paperwork and make sure we had it, because we've got this whole DocuSign debacle that we're living through today, right now, trying to get through it. And every manager in every Weicker SEM Associates office is in the same spot I am. We're basically learning as we go. I at least can create a room at this point, and I think I can send something for signature. So have you guys, any of you guys been able to attend the training so far or watch any of the videos that Todd has done?
I finished all 3 of the videos. There's a 4th one that's like 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
I'll start on that sometime soon, but yeah.
So one of the important things to do is you should have gotten an email from DocuSign, if you will. And I'll be honest, I have no idea what it looks like. I don't know if it says it's from DocuSign, says it's from me, says it's from Todd. I don't know, but it should have given you your login credentials for DocuSign so that you could go into DocuSign and start getting things set up. I'll tell you the first thing that, I would set up would be the house listing and the purchase and sale. Those would be the 2 I would definitely go through, because you have to go in and set up templates, because those will be the 2 you use first, maybe then followed by the lot and land stuff. We really, really wish we could do that for you, but we can't. It's just the way the program is set up, which is, this has a works that we really don't like, but we'll make our way through that. But do try your best to work on that, because it will never fail. You'll need to do a transaction of some sort, and you won't have all that together. Okay, I can help. I don't care to help at all. I really don't. I just have to fit it into everything else that's going on. And I don't care at all to help you with anything. But Vadim was in the office earlier today, and I had to tell him a couple of times, I don't know how to do that. And so I was talking to my husband and told him, I don't think I've ever said that to an agent that I was training before, that I didn't know how to do something. And that's just not me. I don't like to do that, but I am behind the power curve when it comes to DocuSign. So learning absolutely like everybody else. I'm still learning KV Core. I do have a contact that I can go over and I'm going to spend a day with, and he's going to show me all about KV Core. I met him teaching in Nashville last week. He is the relocation director person for the Weicker up there. And he invited me. He said, if you need any help with KV Core, let me know, because I can help you do anything. And he's not into teaching classes for folks. He don't care to teach me so that I can then turn around and teach you. So my goal is to find a day that I can drive to Nashville and spend a half a day or a full day, preferably, with him. So we will get there. And Anthony Rataco at Weicker Corporate is going to show us about squeeze pages and ask us some, let us ask him all kinds of questions on May the 3rd. Our sales meeting will start early that morning because of that extra training he's going to give us. So I believe I sent something out about that already. But when you look at listing a property in the office, I think I gave you guys some of these things last week. I gave you some of those booklets that talk about getting to know you. The Weicker booklet that's got lots of questions in it, that's called Getting to Know You. And I think Alan said, do we have those here? Yes, they're in the copy room, on that desk, in one of those flyer holders, all those booklets that are called Getting to Know You. And when you're going to go and talk to somebody about listing their house, you need to get all the answers that's in that book, okay? You need to ask them all those questions. Now, you can get that information in the PDF format also, if you just want to print it out or have it on your computer and fill it out and save it. You can get that also in the Weicker tools on My Weicker. But we have plenty of those booklets. So if you need them, those are the questions you need answers to. to list a property, okay? And if you go in there, you can find, you can find this and this. Okay, there's also, I did go ahead and put it, the Getting to Know You PDF on the company cloud in the SEM tools. You can click on seller information and you can find it there. Also, if you don't have a booklet, you can get it there. Okay, and this is before you start working on your CMA. And your CMA, again, is a comparative market analysis. What I would like for you all to do is to do a CMA on your own house. Okay, and I will shoot you some information about how to do that CMA when we finish here tonight on the MLS. And Vadim has to go take the MLS, what's that required class you got to go take, the MLS rules and regs and all that stuff. Vadim, when you joined the association, they should have told you you've got to come for new member orientation and take the code of ethics. Did they tell you that? Oh boy. Okay. We need to get you signed up. You're going to have to take a day off from work because you've got to go within the next 2 times that they offer it, or they make you pay all those fees again. Okay. So I got to make myself a note. I'm putting that on my calendar right now to get you that information.
I already had the code of ethics about a year ago. Is that good enough?
That's good enough for right now. So the code of ethics is required when you joined, okay? And every 3 years, you have to take the code of ethics to be able to be a member of the National Association of Realtors. So the last, they call them cycles. So the last cycle we were in, it ended December 31st, 2021, and the new cycle started January 1st. So if you want to take it anytime now, you can take it and be done with it. And if you need CE, I don't know if you need CE or not, but I can help you figure out the CE you need. But the code of ethics has nothing to do with keeping or maintaining your real estate license. It is all about your membership at the association. Okay, so you have, when you first join the association, you have 2 classes. You have to take it by the second class that comes around. So that's usually once a month they offer it. So
anyway, I could go for 3 years, even if I didn't take it right now, correct? But I could take it now and that would put me out to a total of 4 years.
yeah, that puts you out for this cycle, which is 22, 23, and 24. So by December 31st, 2024, everybody has to take the code of ethics again, me included. So we all have to take it. Absolutely.
Okay.
So
I might as well take it and then I'll be good all the
Yeah.
way through.
yeah. So Vadim, you've got to take that orientation. That code of ethics is different than the orientation. The orientation runs like 9 to 12 or 12:30. And they offer it once a month. So you'll need to take that. And in that orientation is where you will learn a little bit about the MLS. But just like anything else we have, the best way to learn it is to get in there and play around with it. And so doing a CMA on your own house is a great way to start. So even if you sit down and ask yourself all these questions that are in this Getting to Know You, that booklet or that PDF that's online, then you'll have the information you need to complete a CMA and to do your doors presentation, which is your listing presentation. Okay. Now, Weichert Wednesday is coming up, and I believe sometime this month he is doing the doors presentation again. He's teaching that. Let's see here if I can find that anywhere. I'm not good on my phone with this, because I want to do other things than what my phone tells me I can do, and I'm not crazy about that. All these websites, man, they drive me nuts. I want to go one place and get everything. Let's see here. I'm going to go into webinars, upcoming training. Let's see what we got going on here. Ultimately sharpen your song. April the 27th, Wednesday, April 27th at 2 o'clock, creating the doors listing presentation. Now, there's some additional ones that have already been recorded that you can watch, but if you want to watch it live so you can ask questions, it's Wednesday, April 27th at 2:00 is when that is happening again. So the doors presentation, they call it doors. It's a listing presentation. Okay. This is where you will sit down and you will talk to the sellers about why they should list with you. Okay. Vadim got really lucky. He totally blew my mind the other day. He stopped and knocked on the door of a for sale by owner. And I've bragged on that because I can't ever get agents to do that. And he texted me and said, I've knocked on this door and they want to list their house. What do I do? I love that scenario. I wish I would have been able to jump in my car and just go take care of it with him right then. Unfortunately, the seller had a medical issue that came up. So unfortunate for him, good for us, because we're going to have some time to get this stuff together before Vadim goes out there. I think he's already made up his mind. He wants to list with you. And some people, when you go out there and you want to talk to them, they'll tell you, I don't need your dog and pony show. Where's the paperwork? Let's just sign this and get this listed. That's my kind of listing, I'm going to tell you right now, but you got to always be prepared to do your dog and pony show. Okay. If the interest rate continues to go up, the market's going to change, and we will be doing a lot of competing for listings. Right now, we put them on the market basically and they sell. There has been times in my real estate career where things have been on the market for 6 months or more before they sell. So just know that that is kind of where it goes, but you need to learn to do this listing presentation, gather the information you need to do your CMA. So I got kind of detailed on this because I was actually trying to help another agent get this together, and she had asked me some questions. So once I have the information and I know I'm going to go out and get somebody's house, I create a folder on my computer for the property so that I can put everything in that folder. Okay. So everything I'm looking for, I'm putting in that folder. So the very first thing you need to do is you need to look in the MLS to see if the property's been listed before. And if it has, you may want to save the MLS info sheets. Just put them in that folder on your computer and you can save it because you can use them as a tool. This is just a tool for you. Okay, especially if it's sold in the last year. You definitely want to look at that. Then the next step is you go into the CRS tax info link that's on the MLS. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the CRS tax info link. You want me to show you? I don't know. I will. Let's see here if I can find the CRS. Let's see here. Get into Flex. It's the courthouse retrieval system. It's the tax record system. You always want to check in there and look up the tax records for the house you're going to be hopefully listing, right? You can always change the county up here. I will tell you that they have a 3-hour CE class on how to use this program at the association, at the Greater Chattanooga Realtors. It will not be a waste of your time if you go and take that class also. Okay. I know for you guys that have, jobs, it's hard to get off to go to these classes, but some of these classes you really kind of need so they can teach you all the ins and outs of all this stuff. But this is where you would go to get the tax records. Okay. And then you can keep those in the folder also that you create on your computer. And the reason you look there is if you pull up a property, it will, let's see here. So let's just take a look at this one right here. This is one somebody was going to make an offer on here recently. It's a Georgia property, but when I look in here, it gives me lots of information, of course, tax ID and all that information. It tells me in 2005, it sold for $4,000. Okay, so that's what its total tax appraisal right now is 66, which really means nothing because it's okay if they're low. That means they don't pay as much taxes. You got that? You're just getting an idea of kind of what is going on. So the sales amount that was recorded was 74,000. Their loan amount was 79,000 in 2007. It was 74 in 2005. I see. Then they they got $5,000 for something. I don't know. They refinanced and got $5,000 in 2007. That's some of the stuff that just gives you an idea of other things that just stuff you need to know about the property. Okay, and then the next step on listing the property is to go into the RPR and see what the RPR says their valuation is of the property. Okay, realtor, I forgot what they call that thing.
You could go from MLS too, correct? Straight
You go
from.
in there from the MLS too, yes. Just click on RPR and you go in there at the same time. RPR is a National Association of Realtors tool. It pulls from all MLSs and from public records. So I call it a data hog. It's a data hog because it's got all kinds of information on there, okay? As you can see, it's taken a while to load it. So let's see here. Let's see if I've done anything recently. Hamilton Mill. Okay, so here's what I viewed, and the RVM is 3/12/940, and it was updated March 23rd. So that's the last time they did an automated valuation. Okay, I could do a CMA from here. Sometimes I do them in a couple of different places to see how close the numbers are. And that then is what I will use to tell the seller that, you know, things are selling between this price and this price. Okay. But I go in and I pull this information. I even go out to Zillow. I go to Zillow and Realtor.com and see if they have any automated valuations, because that's where the customers, the sellers, are going to go look to see what, if you're telling them something that is in line with what they're finding on the internet. Okay, so that's why you want to look at all this stuff. When you're in RPR, you can look at the neighborhood reports. The neighborhood reports are a great thing to give to buyers too. But go to Zillow and then you can begin your process in the MLS. Okay, you really need to make sure and come through the training on the CMA training. And I might do that tonight, actually make a video of that so that you guys can watch that. When you're doing a CMA, you went through this, hopefully you went through this in your 30-hour course before you got your real estate license. They should have showed you the concept of doing a CMA, okay? So the concept is to find 3 active and 3 closed comparable listings, all right? So the active listings is their competition. That's what I always tell them. These are your competition, okay? The closed listings is what the market is telling us it will bear as a purchase price for these properties. Okay, right now it's ridiculous. Okay, but you can still do a CMA. You need to make sure when you're looking for closed properties that you don't go back further than 90 days in this current market for sales. All right, make sure 90 days. If you want to pull pending and contingent listings, you can pull those to show the seller that properties are selling in that market area, but don't make them a part of your CMA because they've not closed yet. Okay, you don't know what they sold for, and the way things are selling over list price right now, you know, it might be an issue. You can use them and say, well, this, and this one were listed right about the same area I'm telling you, you need to list your property at, and they're under contract. So, but we don't know what they sold for. Any CMA information you share with the seller, you need to keep that, a copy of that. And now that we're going to turn in paper files, you're going to need to make sure that a copy of that comes in with your listing paperwork. Okay. So the second most important step in the listing process is that you create your doors presentation, and that's done in My Weichert under projects. Okay. That's where you can set up and create your listing presentation. So then you can package your CMA and your doors presentation together in one of the Weichert folders. We got all kinds of those Weichert folders at the office, and I use them. Just get some more if we need to. Okay. Okay. Don't worry about that. So then I talk about obtaining the seller's net sheet estimate. Okay, I don't know if you know what that is or not, but I sent you a copy of it. It's an Excel spreadsheet is what I sent you. I made a Excel spreadsheet out of it a long time ago because I got tired of adding numbers, but that means then I have to run some of these things before I go to the seller's house, which is fine. I do that, but then I take some blank ones with me so that if he throws out some price that I didn't run one at, then I'm down to hand calculating, which is perfectly fine. I don't care to do it. It's just easier to do on this Excel spreadsheet. You could take your tablet laptop with you, create it on there and email it to them also. But I like to get them to sign it. The word estimate, estimated, estimation, all that, it's all over this form, okay? So let's say you're gonna list a house. Vadim, do you remember what your uncle's house is listed for?
579.
Okay, so I have it automatically calculates the commission at 6%. If you need to change that, you can change it. We have our base commission here. However much their yearly taxes are. When I'm first listing a house, I don't calculate the taxes. I just put the full year taxes. Because if they get more money back in their pocket than what I've told them on this estimated seller's net sheet, it makes me look good. Okay, but I do remind them that taxes will be prorated to the day of closing. I don't know how much his taxes are. I'm just going to make up something here, not 24,000, but let's try 2,400. Title service fees, I'd say about $500. The title policy, that is, who knows what that's going to be, and that's what I tell them. That is a negotiable item. That's something they can plan to pay for the buyer or not. It's totally up to them. A wire fee, you're going to be looking about $45 for wire fees. If they want to offer a home warranty, they can. This gives me the cue to talk with them about things that maybe I talked about when we went over the listing agreement, but we're talking about them again. FHA and VA fees, those are to be determined. And I might just do this, okay? I might just put this kind of stuff in this because this is, I don't want it to look like I didn't talk about this with them. The wood destroying inspection treatment. So what that is the purchase and sale agreement in Tennessee automatically says the seller will pay to have the house treated if there's active infestation of wood destroying insects, okay? That is going to be all over the board. We won't know that until somebody inspects it and tells us that. Right here on the home inspection repair fees, this is where I look at the seller and go, do you have any money to fix anything if the buyer asks you to? And they're going to say, well, like what? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know what's wrong with your house. But what I would like for you to have in your mind is that you have $1,000 or $1,500 sit over here that you can use to do repairs on the house from the home inspection, because I'm going to be very honest with you. I've not seen a single house sell that didn't have some kind of repair. Now, if there's a multiple offer situation, then that's going to be totally different. So you may get a buyer that is going to come and make an offer on your house. You could go into contract with them, and their home inspection is for, they'll have it and they'll terminate, or they'll move forward. They won't ask for repairs. So just have in your mind that you may have to make some repairs. So I'm going to put to be determined here. As far as appraisal repair fees, the purchase and sale agreement does not address appraisal repair fees. If there's something that the appraiser finds and needs repaired in order for the house to appraise, then we'll have to discuss that at that time. You will find that a lot more times in FHA or VA loans than you find in conventional loans. Okay, so that's something I always just put to be determined. Basically, in the rest of these, a structural engineer fee, that's really only if the seller is going to need to have that done themselves. In today's market, they just don't really do much of this. And as far as a well inspection fee and things like that, a septic letter fee, those are really buyer fees. But I always tell them that these could crop up, okay? I also tell them here, it's their responsibility to get the figure of their first mortgage payoff. they may say to me, well, my last statement said that I owe 372,000. So I might say, okay, well, let's just be safe and let's put 376,000 in there. Okay, I'm going to add like 4,000 to it because the balance on the statement is not the payoff. Okay, you usually have to add fees and such to that, and it could be 2,000, 4,000 dependent. We don't have a lot of second mortgages right now, so I don't usually put anything in there, especially because they're going to say no, they don't have one. And then you have to ask if they know if there's any other liens against the property. And they may look at you and go, what are you talking about? Well, you guys all studied liens in pre-licensing. So you could have an IRS tax lien, you could have a mechanics lien. Is there anything else that will need to be paid off at closing that will need to come out of your funds at closing? And most of the time they say no. Okay, so I just put 0 in there because that's what they told me. Right. Seller paid buyer expenses. We are not seeing this very much right now. There has been a time in the past, and there will be a time again that the seller will need to get his house sold. You'll need to help the buyer pay their expenses. But right now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're not dealing with that. And I really don't know much about any other miscellaneous costs that could come about, but you know, they absolutely could be. So I'm just going to put TBD in these blanks. Okay. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the estimated total cost to sell your house is going to be around $413,880, and that should net you $165,120. So that includes everything that we know of right now today as we're listing the property. Of course, any of this can change, especially at closing, before closing. Do those numbers work for you? Okay, that's what you're trying to find out, is if these numbers work for them. And if they don't, then what do you do? What if they say, well, we really wanted to clear 200,000? Well, that is just not possible when you owe 376. And the first thing they're going to say is, well, can you do anything about that commission? Because that looks huge. Okay, so you need to know how to explain to them about commission, and do not be afraid to take a piece of paper out, turn it over, put $34,740 on it and split it in half immediately, because you're going to give half of that to the selling office, right? So you're going to split it in half. Then whatever you've got to take your franchise fee and all that off the top of it, and then you've got your commission split. So don't be afraid to show them exactly how much money you're going to make. Transparency is good, because see, they think you're making this great big $34,740, and that isn't the case. Okay, that is not the case. And so it's okay to tell them. If they continue, this is set up at a 6% commission. That's the formula I have in here. If they continue with that, you need to learn some scripts on commission, okay, in order to protect your commission. Number one, if they can negotiate you right out of changing your commission at the get-go, then how are you going to negotiate a good contract for them? That's something that you have to remember. You know, that's next, blame it on me. I'm sorry, that's our policy for our office. I can't do anything about it. That's our policy. Okay. So most of the time you won't have a problem when you're filling out the listing agreement. When you get to this and they see that number, they think, good grief, I'm giving you $34,000. Okay, you know, but you're really not. And so let me explain that to you. And when you're talking to them about your commission, don't forget, you have to pay dues for the association. You have to pay dues for the MLS, right? You have to pay advertising. You have to pay to have a lockbox key. So all of that stuff, once you get a total, you're going to have to take what, 28% right off of the top of whatever you're getting for taxes, because you're self-employed. So you got to take that off the top too. Don't forget that. And then the things that it costs you, you know, to be in business. And you got to learn to defend commission, because that's the first thing they want to do is take it from you. Okay. If it's if it's a huge, huge, huge deal, you're gonna lose the listing, text me, pick up the phone and call me, and we'll see what we can do, okay? I don't really have a problem, honestly, coming down to 5%. But I don't want to go below 5%. Todd will have my head if we go below 5%. So that's the last thing we want to do, though, because I always kid with them and I say, "Oh, you're trying to give me a commissionectomy right here off of the bat. You know, you wanting to take what I earn. Well, let me show you what I really earn." And a lot of times I'll turn it over and do it on the back of this net sheet. I'll just turn it over and show it to them that way. So that's a net sheet. What questions y'all have about a net sheet?
Well, on that commission stuff, you need to point out that 34,740 is both the buyer and seller
Yeah,
commission. So it's possible through negotiation that the buyer could be paying a good portion of that.
it could happen. It absolutely could happen. There's several videos out there, and I really hate to keep throwing you guys to videos, but you guys are having to kind of do this on your own time too, okay? Tom Ferry, I don't know if you know who Tom Ferry is, but Tom Ferry has some great scripts about commission, okay? You've got to be able to defend your commission all the time because you don't get paid unless it sells. This market right now, it's probably going to sell, but it's not always going to be like that. So learn from the beginning, you got to defend that commission because that's the only way you get paid. And
Well,
don't
the other
forget,
thing with that commission to point out is that half of that goes to the buyer's agent,
Oh,
whether
yeah.
it's paid by the seller or whether it's paid otherwise, but normally it's paid by the seller.
well, it's actually the seller pays this amount of money to the listing firm, and then the listing firm splits that poof right off the bat in order to have the MLS access and the syndication to all the different websites that are out there. We have to offer compensation in the MLS. And so our office policy is that we do split this in half. Now, I want to tell you something too, right here, though. I'm okay if you don't. All right. But you got to tell the seller you're not going to. And I'll show you that in the listing agreement in a minute. I'm okay if you keep 4% and give the selling office 2% or 2.5%, and you keep 3.5%. Because that way you keep more money in your pocket. Okay, we'll talk about that. All right. Let's see here. So we did the seller's net sheet. Let's take a look at the listing agreement here. If I can find that real quick. I gave you guys a copy of one and it's already filled out. And did we go over the listing agreement? I can't remember.
You did with me, but I don't think everybody else did.
Okay, all right. Let's see if we can do that. I'm going to just point out some stuff to you that you got to make sure that you talk to folks about. Now, a lot of people will not read this line by line, and then you've also got some people who go, "Look, I've sold 12 properties. I don't need to hear that line by line." I'm fine if you don't read it to them line by line, but you need to make a note that they told you they didn't want to hear it, okay? Because as soon as you don't go over it with them, something funky is going to happen, and they're going to scream you didn't tell them about it, okay? So just make a note somewhere. You can even put it in special stipulations if you want to, that the seller did not want to read through the entire document, and let the seller sign it. So it's got a lot of red writing on it. You guys should have this. It's pretty self-explanatory, especially if you've got this one with the red writing on it, okay? The broker is the listing company, all right? That's Weichert Realtors SEM Associates. The address of the company is the 6650. That is where that is. Now it says here owner or sellers. Now, if there's more than one seller, you've got to get everybody's name on here. Now, here's something that you need to go back to pre-licensing and dig up, okay? Anybody can buy a property by themselves, man or woman, okay, when they're married. They can buy a property by themselves. But when they go to sell it, all the spouses will have to sign saying they can sell it, okay? Because in Tennessee, they have what's called a marital right to the property if they're married. So they will have to go to closing with them. They'll have to bring their documents, their ID, and all that stuff to closing. So you may have somebody's name on the tax records and the deed. If they're both married, then their spouses will also need to sign to sell the property. Okay, so don't forget that. All right. And then line 4, you have the mailing address of the sellers. It's extremely important that you fill all of this out because the sellers may not live at the property address. So you need the mailing address of all the sellers there. Okay. And if you need more room, go back to special stipulations and fill it out in special stipulations. Line 5 through 7 is the fact that they're hiring you. Lines 8 through 15 is all about the physical address of the property, how it's recorded. I might should make that a little bit bigger so you guys can see that. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking there. How it's recorded with the tax records and such. That's why you have to put the county it's in, the deed book and the deed page number. This instrument number is not a tax ID number. The instrument number is found in the tax records underneath the deed book and deed page number. If I were to go back over here, I think I had something pulled up in the tax records right here. Get down here. So this property does not have a document number or an instrument number. An instrument number and a document number are the same thing. So this one doesn't have one. It would be right here up underneath the deed book and page number. Okay, so it's important that you're putting the correct information in there so that the title company knows what piece of property somebody's buying. And on line 13, you can continue that legal description, if you will, by adding the tax ID number, the lot number, and the subdivision if it has a subdivision. Okay. Now, when we're talking about the items on lines 14 and 15, you've got some items listed here on 14: fixtures, landscapings, improvements, and appurtenances. You need to really talk with them in detail about what's going to stay with the property. You have some pre-printed items here, and all this same language is on the purchase and sale agreement. Okay, so you need to go over all this stuff with them to make sure what's staying and what's not staying. And appurtenance is an easement or maybe a gas lease or a water lease. So you need to ask that question. Do you have any easements that you know of on the property? Okay. Do you know if you're still going to be transferring all the mineral rights, or is there some kind of gas lease on the property, something like that? And then go over all the items that are included. And lines 26 through 28 is where you just put the information there of the items the seller wants to leave that maybe are not pre-printed up here in the included items. Okay, specifically like the refrigerator. If they're going to leave that refrigerator, you can put that there. You need to follow that up by going ahead and putting that information in the MLS. Okay, in the remarks and in the agent only remarks. If they're going to take something with them, that's what line 29 through 31 is. You got to make sure and put it in the listing agreement, and then make sure and push it on over into the MLS. And then you got to make sure it's in the purchase and sale agreement. Okay. So anything that is going to stay with or not stay with the property, you have to be very clear on that. If they have any leased items, this is your cue to ask them if they have any leased items. Is your water softener leased? Is your security system leased? Is your propane tank leased? Those kind of things. Then you need to make a list of them here and push it over into the MLS. Then the listing price is the price that the seller has told you he wants to list his house at. And this is important here. This agreement shall be valid from the date this agreement is fully executed by all parties through some month and day and year here. So the reason this is important is this is the effective date, and it talks about the effective date. So on the last page, you've got to make sure there's a date over there that shows it's the effective date. Do not count on the signature from one of the signing tools, whether it be DocLoop, DocuSign, Transaction Desk, SkySlope, whatever it is. Don't count on that just being the date, okay? You need to fill in the blanks of the date. If you are going to wait a few days to market the property, in other words, put a sign in the yard, those kind of things, then you can use line 44. However, the MLS also has an additional form you'll have to fill out if it's going to be a coming soon. If you're going to go over there on Friday or Thursday and the listing's going to go active by Friday at the same time you listed the house, you don't got to put anything in here, okay? NAR has a rule that says unless it is a coming soon, evidenced by coming soon amendment to the listing agreement, once you stick a sign in the yard or put it out on social media or tell somebody that the house is for sale, then that property has to be in the MLS for everyone to see within 24 hours. Okay, so that's an MLS rule. So we have to follow that rule. So if you go out and list a property and they sign the listing paperwork today, and they don't want you to start marketing it until Monday, next Monday, then that's going to be a coming soon. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I let Vadim do it because it was his uncle. I hate coming soons. Okay, I know why people want to do them. They want to get everybody all excited, ready to see the house. But the truth of the matter is, you can't show it to anyone. Nobody can show it while it's in the coming soon. Okay, if anybody makes an offer on it, it's sight unseen. I think there's enough frenzy around the listings that we have today and enough what I'm going to call the multiple offers that coming soons really don't have an effect right now because everybody's in a frenzy looking for stuff to buy. I mean, it just is what it is. But if you need to do coming soon, come see me and we'll go over that. You can get that listing agreement from the MLS, that coming soon amendment, if you will. The carryover clause, our policy is 180 days. And so that's what goes in that blank is 180 days. This is one of the things that you can pre-fill in DocuSign because, you know, you can go create your templates right now. So when you're creating your DocuSign templates, you can fill out the broker listing company, the address of the company. You could fill that out. You could come on down here and you could fill out the 180 days right here. You can fill out possession of the properties to be delivered at closing, or you might say something negotiable as per purchase and sale agreement. Either one of those works fine with me. As far as terms of sale acceptable to seller, you've got to discuss this with the seller. All of them want cash and conventional right now. They don't want to fool with the government loans. We still have quite a few buyers that are using FHA and VA loans. It's the seller's choice, though. You need to speak to a mortgage person and get all this information about the different loans and the types of loans that they have to make sure the seller knows what they want to accept. VA and FHA have a little bit more stringent appraisals. They can't have any peeling paint. They've got to have, you know, floor coverings. It can't just be like OSB or whatever. There have to be handrails on anything that's 18 inches or more above ground. So there are a few little things that you might have to learn about as far as FHA and VA goes. Compensation, again, we're 6%. I just usually put NA in the dollar sign because we don't do flat fees. And I put 6% in the compensation. And as far as it being leased under the terms of this agreement, right now, today in this market, we're not seeing that very much. But just in case, you might go ahead and put in here some amount of compensation if they're going to lease the house instead of selling it. Okay, we may see that come back. We had to put that in there when the market turned once before. We may see that come back. If they're going to lease the property, then there is another form you got to fill out also. So the best thing to do right now is to tell them this is not the time to be leasing your property. We need to sell your property, right? So if you put something in there, you could put something like 10%, because if they lease it for, let's say, $2,300, 10% of $2,300 is what? $230. That's what you'll make if somebody leases the house instead of you selling it. Okay. So as you're reading through this, they need to understand that once they go under contract, then they're obligated to close. Okay. You got to talk to them about that. Here is line 73 talks about subject to all restrictions of record. This is where you can ask them that, do you have a copy of your deed? I usually ask that up front or tell them, this is what I need you to get ready for me to come list your house. A copy of your deed, a copy of any restrictions that you have, the last 12 months history of your utility bills, things like that. So most buyers will look that stuff up for themselves, but it's kind of good for you to know, number one, is there any at all to begin with? Okay, because you have to mark that in the MLS. And is there an HOA? And if there is, how much is it? And how often does it have to be paid? Those kind of things. Okay. Now, this is an exclusive right to sell designated agency listing agreement, which this line 78 through 88, basically that type of listing agreement, the type you're using to list this property, they owe you that commission, even if somebody knocks on their door and says, I want to buy your house. What they're supposed to do is tell that person to call you. That's why you leave them a stack of your business cards in case somebody does that, because people do that, just so you know. Then section 7, you just go over the responsibilities and rights of the parties. This is what the broker is granted the authority to do. Okay, advertise it basically anywhere we want to advertise it. Divide compensation. This is important. This is where it talks about dividing compensation and however much you're going to put right here on line 99 that you're going to pay to a participant of an MLS in which the property is listed. So all you guys on the call today, you guys are just in the Chattanooga MLS, right? So if, let's say, an agent from Cleveland wants to sell your property and they're not a member of the MLS in Chattanooga, then they don't get paid what's on line 99. They get paid down here at what is on line 104. Okay, because you've got to split that commission. How are you going to pay it? So again, it's up to you. If you list for 6%, you can split it even, 3 and 3. I'm fine with that. For a member of the MLS. For non-members of the MLS, down here at line 104, put 2%. Okay, because you're going to do more work, because they, they're not going to want to drive to Chattanooga and do this and that and the other and whatever. A lot of agents will do it exactly the same. And that's up to you. If you want to do that, you can do that, but you need to understand that you may end up having to go open doors for folks and do all kinds of stuff. So up to you what you want to do. And you'll get some agents who get their underwear all in a wad because you didn't split it with them 50-50, because it'll show on the closing document that you made more money than they did. But that is none of their business. Okay, it's none of their business. This is what you're negotiating with the seller. The seller may tell you, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to give the selling office 4% and you only keep 2% because they're the one bringing the buyer. I've had sellers tell me that before, but most of the time they don't do a whole lot of yah-yahing about the commission, especially once you explain it to them. But you will have to put numbers here on how much you're going to pay an agent in cooperative compensation who is a member of the MLS, and then what you're going to pay to one who's not a member of the MLS. Now, if it's a WICARD agent, like Cleveland comes down to Chattanooga or we go up to Cleveland, we try to give them a 50-50 split all the time. So this also says the seller is going to assist the broker in any reasonable way in selling the property, and we'll refer broker all inquiries regarding the property. This is when you can give them some of your cards, okay? It is against the MLS rules for your cards to be left at showings. So when you go show property, don't leave a card, and the seller should not put out your cards when his house is going to be shown. You need to remember that. Lines 110 through 119 talks about other things the broker is authorized to do. Put a real estate sign box on the property, disseminate the property condition disclosure and the MLS info sheets, take photos and videos and advertise wherever we want to. And then line 119 says seller shall allow the property to be shown at all reasonable hours and otherwise cooperate with broker. So that's your clue to figure out what your showing instructions are going to be. Okay, so you're going to have to tell the office what your showing instructions are going to be. I'm hoping you all get busy enough that you want to utilize showing time. You'll figure out after a little while that yes, it costs $50 a month, but it is a great tool to have, and it really keeps you from staying on the phone all the time. Right now, I'm okay with however you want to do it, as long as the office knows how the property needs to be handled for showing. Okay, can it be shown all the time? Is there any particular time it can't be shown? Are they, do they work third shift and it can't be shown from this time to that time during the day and that such a stuff? Okay. It goes on to say that we're authorized to receive offers and all that wonderful fun stuff. And then lines 124 through 126, this is something that Todd put out in his training that he wants you to put in all of your templates. And that is that we are going to disclose all offers that we get on the property. Okay, so this form says must discuss with sellers and add their directions to special stipulations to protect yourself. Well, Todd and myself and all the other managers met and said, we just want the sellers to know that we're going to disclose to other agents when we have offers. Now, if they don't want us to, if some seller says, well, I don't really want you to do that, then you're going to have to change it in special stipulations. Okay. I haven't really had anybody to do that, and I couldn't tell you when. Okay. Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act. You don't need to know a whole lot about this other than it's something the seller, if they're not a U.S. citizen, they will need to pay these taxes. Yes, more than likely. Then we've got paragraph number 9, the hold harmless. Basically says you can't hold us responsible for something you were supposed to disclose and didn't disclose. All right, that's why when you put the information into the MLS, you need to turn around then once it's active in the MLS and send the MLS sheets to sellers and ask them to look it over and reply to the email and let you know if everything is okay, because they have to disclose everything they know that is wrong with the property, which they do that on the property condition disclosures. And so then you also have to put the correct information into the MLS. Let's see. This says we can have open houses and let any duly authorized key holder go into the house, home inspectors, appraisers, that's what that means. And then this is important because you've got to make sure that the seller understands that if you've got a house listed at $579 and somebody's in that price point, you will show your listing, but you will also show them other listings. That's important, okay? Then the section B is all that we're not an expert. That's what your disclaimer notice is for, the RF 304. You should be using that form with every seller that you work with. It's another listing form, okay? Then we get down here, we're still not experts, and then we get into this whole agency thing. And truthfully, I don't read all of this to them. I tell them, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as soon as you sign this agreement, I'm going to be your designated agent. And this is what that means. And I read them just the designated agent part, right? And then I scroll on down here and I tell them, though, anybody that calls me on your house, I owe them these first 7 duties, even though I represent you, okay? And then I scroll on down here and I get down here and say, well, now, Mr. Seller, this is where I will add my name. I will be your designated agent, just like I told you I was going to be a little bit up further. Section 2 here says if something happens to me, then my broker, the managing broker, can appoint another licensee to be your designated agent. And if by chance I have a buyer that I already have a buyer's representation with, I will need to change my agency status to facilitator, but we will do that by confirming it in writing before we do any of it. That's just easy peasy, go right through there. Mr. or Mrs. Seller, there will be earnest money more than on any offer that's made on your house. However, earnest money is not required in the state of Tennessee to have a contract. In our area, most of the time, the buyer's agent's office holds the earnest money, but that is a negotiable thing. When we get an offer, we can then negotiate who's going to hold the earnest money. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by signing this, you're saying you have good and marketable title to the property and you can fully execute the agreement and sell the property. Then we get into home protection plans. A lot of sellers aren't doing this. And I'm going to tell you, I think it's a good idea for sellers to do this. Okay. And I tell them that, but they still don't want to do it. It costs about $650. That comes out at closing. And I tell them what this is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is you can have an extra layer of protection while the house is listed. There are certain items that are covered while the house is listed in case anything tears up. And then once it closes, the buyer has an extra layer of protection. So let's say the buyer moves in and 8 days after the buyer moves in, the compressor goes out on the heat pump. You could say, this is the reason I bought you the home warranty, because compressors don't come with the date they're going to quit working on them. So I wanted you to be covered. Again, a lot of them are not doing this right now. So if they don't, they don't. They just don't want to spend the money. And then section 15 is a bunch of legalese, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Tennessee law. This is a legal document. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask your attorney about it. Is there anything that's confidential that you are okay that I disclose? Could be they're getting a divorce, they're moving out of state, something like that. They may not want people to know that, okay? And right now in this market, it doesn't matter a lot. But when the market changes, some people, buyers specifically, will use that against the seller. Knowing that they have to start a new job at XYZ time, they'll, lowball their offers. Exhibits and addendum, I can't really think of anything that you would need to add to this right this second, okay? So that usually stays blank. And here is where you will write that information in that Todd is telling us about disclosing terms of offers, etc. And everybody signs it. Okay, there's where you sign it. Please put the dates in here. Please fill out all this information. It's for informational purposes only, but we need it. We also need the current address and phone numbers and emails of all the sellers. We have to put it in our system. So make sure you fill that information out. And once you filled it out, then you're under contract, right? With that seller. Once everybody has signed it, you filled it out and they're signed, then they've signed it. So one of the other forms that you're going to need to then fill out is this confirmation of agency form. Okay, this confirmation of agency form, and this one has to be uploaded into the MLS with documents. All right, so I think I sent you this, and you will more than likely, anytime you list a house for sale, you will only be checking the box right here at line 18. If you are working with a for sale by owner, if you are taking a buyer to a for sale by owner and you have no representation agreement with that seller, you're just bringing a buyer, then the seller would be unrepresented. But you got to make sure that everything is filled out here at the bottom, because the real estate commission will compare the date the seller signs this with the date they signed the listing agreement. It can be the same date, but it can't be before the listing agreement is signed. Okay, it can be the same date or after, but not before. Are you overwhelmed yet? I think we lost Vadim. I think he went to sleep on me. So today I sent out this checklist. I'm going to tell you, I'm not feeling all warm and fuzzy about the office files, because if the Tennessee Real Estate Commission decides they want to audit a real estate office, the broker is on the hook first. Okay, it eventually rolls downhill, but the broker is on the hook first. And right now, I don't know what anybody's doing. When you list a property, you have 24 hours to get that listing in the MLS, get your listing paperwork into the office turned in. Okay, so you will need to fill out the top of this listing checklist. And I made up a separate form about showing instructions, but today I said, you know what? We'll just put it right here on this listing checklist and use that. Okay, we had that come up when Vadim listed his uncle's house. Vadim, yeah, I'm saying that right. And didn't use the showing service, and somebody called the office and wanted to show the house. So Hunter, when he answers the phone, he needs to understand how to set up a showing for you. If you're deciding you're going to use showing time, you just check this box. If you're not going to use showing time, you check this box and you write the instructions right here. Call the seller at the phone number above, you know, and must have an appointment. There's a dog. Don't let the dog out. Don't let the cat out. There's an alarm. Here's the alarm code. Things like that. We've got to know everything about getting folks into that house because it won't sell if people can't get in. Okay, so this information.
You said with showing time you can do the monthly pay subscription, or you can do per property, correct?
Yes, you can. You can do it per, I think it's $25 per property. I think that's what Lindsay does right now because listings are so few and far between. But okay, so if I want to go show property because I pay that $50 a month, I can go to showingtime.com. I can log in and I can set up all the showings that I want to set up. And there's tools in there that I can use. Put them in order. It'll do all kinds of stuff. I mean, you can call and set up an appointment or go online and set up an appointment if you have an account. I just like the tools it offers you. You know, that's just me personally. Everybody decides what they want to do on their own. You know, you get 4 or 5 listings and folks are calling you every hour or 30 minutes to set up showings. It takes up a lot of your time when you're trying to do other things. And so that's the reason I use the showing service, but it's completely up to you guys, whatever you want to do. Todd says as soon as we build the office up a little bit, he's going to look into getting like an office rate. So it might be a little bit cheaper. So that's something, as soon as I can build up the office agents a little bit more, he's going to do that. So what's going to happen with this form when you turn it in, okay? You basically need all the forms that are on here, that are listed here, unless it says if applicable, okay? Or condo only and new construction only. Those are only needed for those types of listings. So what this checklist is for you to check and make sure that you have what you need to turn it into the office. And then Hunter's going to be checking behind you to make sure you have what you're supposed to have. Okay. He's going to be checking dates. He's going to be checking what date the listing agreement was signed against the date that the confirmation of agency was signed. Okay. Because that again is something that the Real Estate Commission does. As far as the property condition disclosure, that needs to be filled out and turned in. As soon as you put that listing in the MLS, you need to upload all disclosures at the same time you upload that MLS, that listing in the MLS. So you're going to have to get this form, whether it's the property condition disclosure or exemption, to the sellers and have them fill this out and have them have it ready for you. Okay, there's a way they can do it online. And I'm going to learn that in DocuSign. One of the things I'm learning, that's my next thing, is to learn how a seller can fill out the form. But if I'm sitting with them at their house and we know we're going to list their house, I will give them the property condition disclosure and ask them to be filling that out while I'm filling out the ML. Okay. And so that's just something you'll get used to doing while you're in there. The MLS info sheet is found on the MLS. They're called input sheets. And you can find them on the MLS under the menu input sheets. But you must have everything that's listed here unless it says if applicable. Disclosure of a personal interest disclosure, the RF 305. That's if you're listing any immediate family's property or any property that you have a ownership interest in or more. Okay, you've got to use that form. That's a personal interest disclosure. As far as a referral form, you won't have that unless this listing comes to you as a referral. And then like from another Wycard office somewhere or another real estate office somewhere. And then you'll need to make sure that we have a copy of that referral form. And there's some other things that you will need, but we'll get those once we know it's a referral. Commission deviation. There's a commission deviation form out there. And basically the only time you'll ever need that is if I allow you to go to 5% or below. Okay. And we'll get that. When it says digital signature certificates, I'm kind of tossing that one around right now. If you sign something digitally, there's usually a 6 or 8 page document. That's the certificate that comes with that signing. I don't want all that peripheral, this is all stuff. I only want the page that shows the IP addresses and the email addresses that you sent to. And I'm not going to be pushing on that right now because I got to figure out with DocuSign what theirs look like. Okay, so, and then you got to remember that you turn the file into the office, the paper file, and you submit your DocuSign room for review. Okay, so that was a problem that we've been having is people aren't submitting things for review until they close. I don't know that we've got a listing. I don't know that it's with pending until it closes. And that's not acceptable because I have to know what's going on in the office with stuff. Believe it or not, that is what's happening. If there's any notes you want to put on here so the office knows anything about the property at all, you can put anything here, just whatever you think we need to know. But this is the checklist that you will turn in, and this will help you make sure that you have all the forms you need to have. Now, I will tell you in DocuSign, the groups that you're going through right now and setting up your template, all these forms are in there. They're in there, okay? You'll just need a paper form to send that in. And if you do it in DocuSign rooms, you get a digital signature. You can look and make sure you have everything you need, and you can email it to Hunter, and he's going to print it out and put one of these checklists with it. But he's got to have all this information here at the top. So you'll need to include this in your email when you email Hunter and tell him to go print off something for you. Okay. Like if you can't come to the office today, you listed something today, you put it in the MLS today. You can't come by the office, you email it all to Hunter. But we've got to have this information right here filled in. Are you sufficiently overwhelmed?
I've got a question.
Go.
On the listing agreement on line 104, that 10% you talked about, it kind of contradicts what it says, or at least it appears to contradict what it says in the listing property step-by-step handout that you had, where it says it'd be 2%. So why does it say 10% here and 2% on the other form?
Okay, so this commission split, I think line 104, is that the rental line? Or is that the
104 is the one where it says broker elects to offer a cooperating compensation to an agent who is not a member participant in MLS in which the property is listed. It will be in the amount of 10% of selling price monthly. That seems awfully
that's
different.
the rent. It's the rental amount monthly.
So
So
that's the rental amount.
yeah, that's a rental amount.
Okay.
See, selling price rental monthly amount right here. I don't know why that says selling price. I don't know why that sells.
It's a rental amount, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure what. Let me look up here for a second. Yeah, that's if it's leased. Right here, up here on 99, this is the total they're going to pay if they're going to lease. And you know what? As far as the rental amount goes, I'm not real concerned about that right now.
Well, line 99 would be 2%, or is that 10%?
99 is going to be 6%. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's 2 or 3%, whatever you want to put in there. Yes.
Okay.
You can either split it completely in half, but if you're getting the listing and you're allowed to take it at 5%, you don't want to give the selling office 3% because then you would only get 2%. So you might put 2.5% in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, you are correct about that. Yes. Did I say I was going to do something else that we haven't done? Because I might do that. Let's see. Listing confirmation of agency. I went over that. Basically it, I think. Okay. So that's listing property, and you're going to learn. Here's some things about listing property. Okay. Number one, you need a rubber mallet. You're going to need this little tool kit to carry around in your car for when you're listing property. I know a lot of agents who have a sign that they throw in their trunk and leave in their trunk all the time, or at least have it at home. And then they have their name writers that they put on their signs. And a lot of times you'll need a rubber mallet to beat those frames into the ground. You know, when it's raining like it has been today, it's not hard to get a sign in the ground. But sometimes when it's dry, we're coming up on the summer, it's hard to get a sign in the ground. So you might need a rubber mallet. You may need some zip ties. This is just some things to kind of have in your car ready to go. You may need some zip ties. There's pointer signs. You know, you want to have pointer signs out as long as the subdivision restrictions will allow you to have the pointer signs out. I will tell you, there are some subdivisions around Chattanooga that you can't. There's some subdivisions around Chattanooga that you can't even use our regular yard signs. You have to get a sign specifically made for their subdivision. Okay. It's got to be certain colors and wood and this and that and the other. I'm trying to think of the one that's down there off of East Brainerd Road. Is it Graysville Road going over into Georgia?
Council Fire.
Yeah, Council Fire is real specific about theirs, but I'm not sure if they're this one is on a golf course. Well, I just sold a house in there last year. I can't remember the name of it, but you can't put a regular real estate sign in there. They have somebody that makes real estate signs for you, and you have to, and they're like a turquoise and white color. They don't look anything like your company at all. They all have to be the same. So that's a question when you talk to the sellers and ask them if there's restrictions in their subdivision. You know, is there any restriction on putting a sign up in the yard? There's the Ocoee Mountain Club up in Polk County. You can't put a real estate sign in the yard at all. So what we've had to do a lot of times is the sellers will just take the coroplast or the metal part of the sign and stick it in their front window so that people know their house is for sale up there in the Ocoee Mountain Club. So you have to follow all of those different restrictions, and sometimes it's a pain to try to figure out what they are. But when you're listing property, your job is to gather as much information about that property as you can before you go out there and list that property. And a CMA, one of the best things you need to remember about doing a CMA is you may have to adjust a property. Maybe your subject property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and all you're finding are 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. So you'll need to adjust that property. And here's a little challenge for you. Look up what a paired sales analysis is. A paired sales analysis. I'm going to teach us that next Monday. We're going to do CMAs. And I'm going to teach us what a paired sales analysis is, but you can go ahead and be looking that up. And also, if you want to play around doing a CMA in the MLS, do a CMA on your own house where you live at right now. And you can shoot it off to me if you want to, and I'll come in behind you and we'll work on one together. All right. It's 10 minutes till 7. You guys have been in here and been nice and quiet and all that fun stuff. So, Alan, I don't know if you were thinking about coming to sales meeting in the morning. We're probably going to do it via Zoom again, because I just don't think I can get from Paul Huff Parkway in Cleveland unless they get it done quickly. unless they get it done quickly. So I'm gonna have to think about this tonight and decide exactly, because I want to tell everybody this evening what to do for tomorrow. It just took them a long time today to do what they were going to do at the doctor's, and I don't want people sitting and waiting for me. So I'll make that decision.
So there's a tentative 10 a.m. training tomorrow.
Yeah, every Tuesday morning, we have sales meeting at 10 a.m. every Tuesday morning. May the 3rd, it's going to be at 9:30 instead of 10, because we're going to have the Anthony from the corporate, Weichert corporate, teaching us some stuff about KV Core, or my Weichert. And then but every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m., we have training. It's something, not training, but a sales meeting. And if something crazy comes up, sometimes Tina or Todd will send you guys a link for you to join their sales meetings. Before I took the job last November, I had already scheduled an entire year of instructing. Okay, so we do have some dates that collide that I have to instruct. Like tomorrow afternoon, I'm doing fair housing for Robertson County, Tennessee, up above Nashville, but I'm doing that via Zoom. Then Wednesday morning, I'm teaching for the Northeast Tennessee Association, and then teaching in the afternoon for Great Smoky Mountains. So I'm going to be gone Wednesday, but I'll be in the office all day Thursday and Friday. That is my plan as it sits right now. So I apologize for that, but before I took the job, I had all this stuff scheduled already. So, but I do get to meet neat people. Like I met James, who said, let me teach you everything I can about my Weichert, which is a great thing, because, you know, he's going to be a great asset for us. He even told me he wrote code and could help me write some code to get it to do the things I wanted it to do for my website and stuff. So I'm really excited about getting the time to actually go meet with him. I don't know if you heard that or not. I have a 9-pound dog over here, and she likes to make lots of noise when I'm on. She's 15 and a half years old. She's come home one day and she's just going to be gone, and I'm going to be totally devastated. But we will, as you can see, we've got 2 active listings and 1 contingent. I don't know if you guys heard this, but Debbie got her $1.299 million listing, and then it went under contract within 3 or 4 or 5 days. It was really tremendous for her that happened. So right now, I really want us to concentrate on listings. I really do. We've got door hangers in the office, the little where you can put your business cards and go knock on doors and leave them on people's doors. I also have some of the plastic bags that you can leave on doors. So if you want to do what's called a pop buy, some folks buy just little giveaway type things, like the little forget-me-not seeds from the Dollar Tree. They'll go buy, 50 packs of forget-me-not seeds and take their cards to them and go leave those on people's door. And I've got the clear plastic bags that you can use to hang those up and to actually do some marketing that way. Vadim got exposed to the Quantum Digital, or the iMail, that will automatically send out when you get a listing and your listing is put into everything. Quantum Digital will send you an email that says, hey, congratulations on your listing. Are you ready to send out your trigger marketing cards? What is that, $40? I don't even remember what it is.
$40 for
$40.
50.
And they send out 50 to the 50 closest neighbors of your house that you have listed, or your property, whatever you list, and tell them you've listed it. And then as soon as you sell it, they'll send out just sold cards too. And they have this code on each postcard that where whoever gets the postcard has a specific code on their postcard. They can go to this website called learnmorenow.com. They put their code in, and it will automatically come through your My Weichert and say, hey, you've got this lead at XYZ address. They went on to the Learn More Now. They wanted to find out more about the house. So they're either interested in it for themselves, they're a nosy neighbor, which is okay, or they're looking to maybe list their house and want to know what that one is listed for. So that is a cold lead, but you need to nurture those leads, okay? All right. 2 hours or hour and a half. I don't know how long we've been in here. Y'all got any questions about anything?
I'm good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, I've recorded this on my YouTube, so I'll be glad to send anybody the link. If they want to look through it again, that'll be great. I'll have it. Don't worry. And please, please, please log into DocuSign. Get your account going. I can see, I don't remember who all it was. I saw today, there's some folks who have not done that yet. Got to get it on.
What is the cost for being part of DocuSign?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's just
no.
DocuSign.com or?
Oh, no, you should have got an email. You should have
I
gotten an
did
email.
get an email. I just haven't looked at it.
Yeah, you get an email and you click on that link, and right here is DocuSign. This is, I changed it. You should be able to see it on my screen now. This is what it looks like. And if you watch those videos on My Wykert under SEM Tools, do I have My Wykert open? I don't think so. If you go in here to My Wykert, oh my word, I'm telling you what. Charter just kills me. I have Charter at home where I'm at. It's awful. So right here under the company cloud, when you go to My Wykert, you can go here to SEM Tools. And the videos are sitting there in SEM Tools if it ever would open.
Is that on the Wykert site or is that on the DocuSign?
That's on the Wykert site. This is My Wykert.
I've been having trouble getting into that. How do I get into the Wykert site? Is it Wykert.com or?
No, well, I mean, yes, you can go there, but you should have gotten an email about that also. That
I
would
did.
give,
For some reason, I started to go in there and then it didn't have like a username or a password written down, and I just got off that screen and then I couldn't get back to it. And I can't figure out how to get into there. So I'm gonna have to start over on it. I just need to know the website to go to.
okay, it's my.wykert.com. There's a dot between my and Wykert.
My.Wykert.com.
My.wykert.com.
Okay, and is anything capitalized?
No.
Okay, got it.
And the DocuSign training videos are right here,
Okay,
right in here. There's a lot of stuff in here. You can check that stuff out too. But this is your, we call it KV Core because that's what we knew it as. But then they changed it to My Wykert. They bunched everything together, which is a good thing. Everything's coming together there. And so you definitely need to do that. You need to get into DocuSign and get your stuff put together. And you've got to watch those videos because in those videos, it tells you what you need to do to get up, set up to use DocuSign. And again, there's some things you have to do that I wish I could do them for you. I would do it in a heartbeat, but I can't. I can't do them for you. You have to go in and do them. So it tells me if I go here to settings, it should tell me who's accessed and who has not. So see where it says pending right here, pending. These are the agents in our office that haven't accessed it yet. So do your best to get logged in and then go watch these training videos. And you need to watch them in order. Okay. 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, because it's going to get you, each step is adding something to it. And this is something that we discussed today, Vadim and I discussed today, he was in the office. So every training class right now that we do, and you guys should have got an email with the calendar on it. Okay. Did you guys get an email with the calendar?
Yeah.
I don't think I got that.
Okay, I'll send that out again. But every one of these links right here, it don't matter. Monday Morning Brew Crew, Business Booster, Tech Talk, and Forums Friday. Right now, these 4 things are going to take you to the training for DocuSign. So like Monday morning brew crew is normally on Monday mornings at 9 o'clock. So at 9 o'clock this morning, they had about 45 minutes of training on DocuSign. Business Booster comes in, I think, on Wednesday at, I think it's noon. It's either noon or 2. And then Tech Talk is Thursday at noon or 2. And then Forms Friday is 10 o'clock on Friday mornings. I know that. These are the two I'm not sure about. I think Business Booster is 12 and Tech Talk is 2. But those are training for DocuSign. Todd is doing all of that himself. So he's training that, and then he's uploading the training videos as he finishes them. So this was week 1 DocuSign training right here. That he must have done Sunday. I don't know why he did that, but there you go. So it's all new. It's all different. I promise you it is different, and I'm trying my best to learn it as fast as I can. If you have a question and I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer out. Okay. Because we had a managers meeting this morning and we were all over the place trying to get stuff done. So, and what you need to know about your rooms, one of the major things is like with signing with dotloop and with transaction desk, it's Authentisign and then dotloop signings. In DocuSign, it's called an envelope. So if you need to get somebody's signature, you're going to have to put documents in an envelope and send that envelope for them to sign. Okay, that's what it's called in there. So that's how you get a signature in DocuSign. We hadn't got there to training yet, but I know some folks have been needing to sign some things. So that's how you do it. It's an envelope. All right, guys. Thanks for coming on, and I will have this video available if anybody wants it. Anybody got any more questions?
Thank you,
Nope.
Susan, so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're
Awesome.
welcome,
Thank you.
guys. I want to help you. Let me know what you need. Again, if I don't know the answer, I'll find it. Okay?